Have you heard of 21st Century 4Cs? These are skills that you can use to engage your children or students in an exciting teaching and learning process. I'm talking about children between the ages of 6 and above, or 6 to 18 years. That is grade school and high school children. It is also a tool that you can use in training in offices. These skills will help your child succeed in today's world. Not only that these skills are important on their own, but by combining all of these skills, students are empowered to solve their own problems, work together, and come up with solutions. This is why it is important for you to encourage development in all of these 4 areas to help set your child up for success in school and in their future workplace. Welcome back to Child at Heart. My name is Gift Onye. I'm the founder of Child at Heart. Child at Heart is a platform I founded to be able to help teachers and parents around the globe to understand the best way to handle children, the best way to care for children, and how to also care for yourself as a mother. That is why my major focus is on childcare, education, and consulting. Everything that surrounds caring for children. If you're seeing this video for the first time, I'd like you to subscribe, and for all my returning subscribers, I want to say welcome back. Each of these 4 C's are needed by children to be able to succeed in today's world. So for parents and for teachers, I will enjoin you to approach your teaching and your learning with these 4 C's. The first is communication, the second is collaboration, the third is creativity, and the fourth is critical thinking. So for every subject or for every class that you're going to engage with the children in your care or your children, I'll share with you how you can use this approach to teach them, for them to understand and be able to relate to each of the topics or each of the learning that they are engaging in. This video is divided into 2 parts. The first part, I'm going to be explaining each of these 21st Century 4 Cs, and the second part, I'm going to be explaining how you can approach learning using the 21st Century 4 Cs. Communication involves sharing thoughts, ideas, and questions. Teaching children that communication can come in many ways is important. It's not just to communicate verbally, but the use of non-verbal cues, such as hand gestures and facial expressions. And now that we live in such a digital world, it's important to teach children how to navigate digital spaces with responsibility. Collaboration involves working together to reach a common goal. Most career paths, like we all know, require people to work together in some capacity. This is why it is important to get kids to understand and start engaging in working together. This skill, collaboration, requires a lot of practicing and time, especially for children that are naturally introverted. You see why you need to bring in this skill while teaching and learning is taking place, because while they keep learning how to collaborate and problem solve together, the child becomes very efficient. Creativity involves trying new approaches to solve problems. Creativity is often thought of as being artistic or musical, but it is so much more than that. Creativity simply means thinking outside the box, and that can be in any area. Trying new theories. You can encourage children to try new theories in math, in science, in any subject. In an activity that you have given them to do, can be word hunts and all of that. What are the other options I can use, or the other ways I can use to approach this problem? What are the other ways I can use to find solution aside the one that is already known? What is my plan A, plan B, plan C? Since plan A hasn't worked, plan B hasn't worked, let's think of another plan that we can use to see if we can get a solution. This is why it is important for kids to start learning how to problem solve and tackle issues in which the bigger picture involves more than just themselves. This skill is not easy to start, but by constant practicing, one can get used to it. Critical thinking involves looking at problems in a new way, in a different way. A large part of critical thinking is being able to assess information, look through it, and see if it's credible or not. Having explained what each of the 4 C's mean, how can we implement them during learning? There are 2 ways that you can implement them during learning. It's either you're implementing all of them together or you're implementing them individually. For example, you might ask your students to read a comprehension passage and answer the questions. So, in that comprehension passage, which is a particular activity, one activity, communication can be taking place, collaboration can be happening, critical thinking can be happening, and creativity can also be taking place. How does that happen? As your students are reading the comprehension passage, after they have finished reading comprehension passage, you can ask them among themselves. They should share their thoughts, ask each other questions, and share ideas on what the comprehension passage is saying before they even start answering the question. That is communication going on. As they are together doing all of those things together, they are collaborating. This person brings their advice, the other person shares their own. This person brings their idea, the other person asks question, the next person responds to the question. Collaboration is going on in that same activity. So I'm going to give an instance or an example of how the communication group can share ideas, thoughts, and even ask questions. I'm going to read from this extract. The mischievous woman sailed like a gallon into the room. Her dress was gushing waterfall of blue silk, and stars glittered at her throat. As she stepped into the room, many heads turned to look at her. A tall man stood in the corner, as stiff and motionless as an old oak, a dark cloud of misery over his head. He frowned and turned to face away from her. "Mr. Mayhew," she exclaimed, walking across the room, extending her gloved hand to him. He took her hand and felt the silk of her glove, as soft as feathers, against his rough palm. He did not want to fall under this woman's spell, but he already felt himself bewitched. I go on. "Hello, madam," he said coolly, as if he had never met her before. "Don't you recognize me, you silly fool?" she asked, knowing perfectly well the answer to that question. He pretended he couldn't grasp what she was saying. "I'm sorry, madam. You appear to have mistaken me for someone else." Undeterred, she continued, "I don't think so, Mr. Mayhew," she replied, determined to have the man in the palm of her hand. This is an example, it's just an extract from a comprehension passage. Now, when you have grouped those children or your students into these 4 different groups, the group 1 has, for instance, a communication passage to share ideas, to ask questions, and to share their thoughts. So now, among themselves, they can ask, "What do you think about this passage? Who are we talking about?" We're talking about a man and a woman. What is going on between them? You can even they start asking themselves questions. You encourage them to ask questions. For instance, you can ask them, "Why do you think the man didn't want to give his hand to the woman?" The person starts to think. So in this passage now, critical thinking can be going on, communication can be going on, collaboration can be going on, communication can also be going on, creativity can also be going on, because in creativity they can even start demonstrating, can even start using their gestures or even want to act it. So you see, you as a teacher or as a parent will decide how you want to implement these forces. Either you want to implement all of them in a particular activity. While that is going on, you start bringing out the communication, sharing thoughts, sharing ideas, asking questions. What do you think? Why do you think? What happened? Can you retell the story? They can even retell the story to you. That is part of communication. And remember, also try to point out the non-verbal cues. Communication is not just about talking verbally, it's also about gesticulating, using hand gestures. They can even act it out. This is what happened. Okay, you can come. Sandra, for instance, you can come and stand here. Adam, you can come and stand. Can we demonstrate what happened between Mr. Mayhew and this madam? That is communication. So in that group, they can start doing that for communication, sharing thoughts and ideas. So you can give them any tasks, any activity, for them to be able to share their thoughts, ask questions. For each of those groups, you give them a time frame. So probably you tell group A, group B, group C, group D, you have 20 minutes or you have 30 minutes And then at the end of the day, they pick a leader that will come to present what exactly has gone on in their group. How did they learn? How did the communication go? What ideas did they share? What questions were asked? That is how communication as a 21st century 4 skill, one of the 4 skills, you can use it to teach your children. You see, when that is happening, you see the excitement. Everyone wants to get involved. Everyone wants to speak. And because you divided them into 4 groups, note, the children that are middle learners or slow learners, you mix them up in these groups. They start talking. They start getting involved. They don't feel left out any longer. Sometimes you can even ask them excited. You want them to even take the lead in the group. So it's a very exciting approach that you can use, because beyond what is going to help them develop public speaking, confidence, self-esteem, it's going to build a lot of skills in them. Beyond that, it's also going to help them when they start working in future or when they start interacting with the real world. The second I'm going to be talking about, I'm going to be explaining, is collaboration. Just like I talked about in communication, you just have to divide them into those groups. So now group A is communication, group B is collaboration. So in group B, you can ask them. For instance, you have 2 fruits. You can have an orange or an unripe banana. You can ask them, what do you think you can process this orange into? And then market it and make money. During a training I had in a school for management staff and some teaching staff, that was one of the groups I handled. One of the groups I asked them to. I brought oranges and I brought bananas, unripe bananas, and I asked them, can you list to me what you can do with this banana and make money? Probably 5 or 4 things you can process this banana into and make money. Likewise, the oranges. Then they start collaborating. This you can process into banana pudding, you can process into banana chips and sell and make money. For oranges, you can take it like that, sell it like that and make your money. You can turn it into orange juice or you can turn it into orange drink. There are differences, and sell and make money. So you see, by the time this person brings in their idea, this other person brings in their idea, you can combine those different ideas together to achieve that goal, which is collaboration. Or you can even come up with a project. Okay, I want us to build a robot. You give them the guidelines on how to build a robot, or you give them a website where they can go to find out how to build a robot, but you want them to do it in the school. Or you and your students can decide, okay, we want to do a project, we want to build robots. So you're going to put this here, you're going to put the tires, you're going to put this, you're going to put this, you're going to put the battery and all of that. And everyone is bringing their ideas together. They are working together to achieve a common goal. What is that common goal? To build a robot. Sometimes you can even decide, okay, for all the days of the week, for Monday, all the activities we're going to do in this class or in this house will be on communication. Tuesday will be collaboration. Wednesday will be critical thinking. Thursday will be creativity. Friday, we can now have activity that will bring all of them into one activity. As that is going on, you can start linking them to different things that happen in life, different activities or different situations that they can encounter or they might encounter that will improve or will harness and bring out the skills in them. The more we engage children in activities or use this approach, this 21st century 4 Cs in activities, they start getting smarter, they start taking good decisions, positive decisions on their own, they start thinking outside the box. That is for collaboration. Now, for creativity, you can ask them, paint where you want to see yourself in the next 5 years or in future or when you grow up. You can either paint or you can draw. Then you hand them the materials. They start painting. Just like I explained, Monday can be communication, Tuesday can be collaboration, Wednesday can be creativity. So you start asking them, draw what you think about yourself. Draw where you want to see yourself. You can give them different options. Draw what you think about yourself. Draw where you want to see yourself in the next 5 years or after you've graduated from school. Draw it or paint it, and you give them time to do it. When they are done, you can now rehearse whatever it is with them. When I did this training with some teaching staff in a British school, I found out that some of the staff, want to be school owners. Some of them want to be professors. Some want to be philanthropists. So it's going to bring out a sense of belonging, a sense of awareness in them that, okay, yes, I can actually draw, I can actually paint. So there is really something, it brings out the person in the child. So as a teacher, you are supposed to guide them. Your duty is now to guide them while you're looking at their work, while they're doing this and that. You're trying to guide them to find out if they did the right thing and put them through. And as that is going on, now you know the person's ability. Those that cannot draw, or those that cannot paint, or those that do not even know what they want to become in future, or they don't have a clue of where they want to be. Now you can come in and guide them and help them find out what exactly is going on. Why can't you paint where you're going to be in the future, or why can't you think about where you're going to be in the future? So you see how interesting the class will be. So interesting, they'll be eager to come to school rather than the come to class, read what's in the textbook, copy notes and all of that. Sometimes you just have to bring in these forces into your learning. It has to do with a lot of thinking. You have to be able to plan these activities. You have to be able to plan these classes so that it will be exciting. You're sure you're using the right concept, you're using the right topic, you're applying and implementing the right process in each of these areas. Now, moving on to critical thinking. Critical thinking, we talked about puzzles, something that can activate the brain, that will make use of the brain at all times. You throw puzzles at them, puzzles that you can even come up with the puzzles yourself. You throw puzzles at them. I'm going to give an instance of different puzzles that you can come up with, and to make them to think. Puzzles that you can even build, puzzles that they can use their hands to fix, or puzzles that will have to make them think and think and think and try to find out what exactly is the answer to this puzzle. These puzzles will help you think critically as you're trying to get the solution to them. I'll share a few of them. So some of the puzzles I'm going to share are just puzzles that could cut across either as math puzzle or English puzzle or a general puzzle. So I also like you to know that there are puzzles that are math puzzles, basically math puzzles, and there are puzzles that are specifically English puzzles, and there are puzzles that are specifically science puzzles, and there are also general puzzles. So you can't say, I don't have a puzzle for my subject. Probably you're a math teacher or an English teacher or a geography teacher, and then you say you don't have a puzzle for your subject. There are puzzles for each subject that can suit and make your children or the child in your care think critically and problem solve. For parents at home, I'd like you to also make use of all of these puzzles so that your child can be a wholesome child, a child that can actually think critically and problem solve. So these puzzles, I'm going to just pick a random, I'm just going to mention random puzzles that are going to help you have an idea of what I'm trying to talk about. I'll share a few right now. A woman had two girls who were born on the same hour of the same day of the same year, but they were not twins. How could this be so? Answer: they were two of a set of triplets. Another puzzle. A man drove his Innova car all the way from Shinda to Delhi, only to discover at the end of the trip he had a punctured tire from the very start. Yet his Innova car was not at all affected by it. How is this possible? Answer: punctured tire must be a spare tire. Mina's mother had 5 daughters: Rina, Tina, Sheena, and Sheila. Who is the 5th daughter? Answer: Mina. Another puzzle. How many times can you subtract the number 5 from 35? Answer: once. After the first calculation, you will be subtracting 5 from 30, then 5 from 25, and so on. Another puzzle. Before the days of motor cars, a man rode into town on his horse. He arrived on Sunday, spent 3 days in town, and left on Sunday. How is that possible? Answer: the name of the horse was Sunday. Now that I have shared the 21st century forces, what they are, and how you can implement it in your teaching and learning process, I would like to hear your thoughts, and I'd like you to share your comments with me in the comment section. And I also encourage you to tweak it better than I have done and implement it better than I have explained. And I'll see you in the next video.